Hey Richard, what's that?
It's a coffee.
No, I know that. What's it in?
It's in a cup.
But is that sustainable?
Oh, okay. Well, I think the base probably is. I'm not too sure about the top.
Well, you know, today's guest is talking about transformation in the sustainability space, right?
Oh, okay. I better get rid of this.
Well, don't just bin it. You better recycle it properly. Because today's guest is Howie from NCS. NCS is a huge system integrator across APAC. One of Howie's key focus areas in the company is sustainability.
And Howie has a really great take on sustainability and the transformation needed to move from just talking about sustainability to actually taking actions. He's here today to tell us all about it.
Great.
Let's do it. Hello and welcome to the Transformations podcast, and a very warm welcome today to our guest, Howie Lau.
Oh, thanks so much. Great to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you here, Howie. We've got a lot to talk to you about today. One of the places that we wanted to start was with your career. Yeah, this podcast is all about change, and you've had a really interesting career journey, private sector, public sector, back to the private sector. Could you tell us a bit about that journey and the change that you've experienced in that journey?
Well, thanks, Richard. I think first of all, thanks so much for having me. It's a true honor to be here to have a chit chat with you guys. I've been fortunate. In fact, it was about a month ago. I got together with a group of us who joined IBM on the 17th of May, 1993.
Wow.
To celebrate our 30th work year.
Whoa.
We got together to say it's pretty awesome. We got to 30 years. We actually didn't know what we were celebrating because it's been 30 years of work. But
Survival.
It's been good fun. And I think as I look back, I've been fortunate that I've had a chance to work from IBM to an American MNC to a Chinese global company, Lenovo. Had a chance to go into a telco in StarHub. And then to join the government, and then from the government now with a Singapore system integrator going to the region. So in a nice odd way, I had a chance of going from American steak to Chinese dumplings and then to chicken rice, or different flavors of chicken rice. So that has been, I think I've been lucky, and that change of different flavors and environment kind of got me to be always on my feet, to be thinking about how to not just adapt, but how to thrive.
Yeah, fascinating. So no indigestion with those change of...
So far, not yet. So the chicken rice is working well. And yes.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And so now, how you're at NCS, and I understand that you lead the thought leadership on sustainability. How does sustainability actually really matter in NCS, and what do you guys take on it?
Well, I think if I maybe allow me to take a few steps back, NCS is a technology services company. We are proud to be number one in Singapore and Southeast Asia. We're growing into Asia Pacific. We first started out in 1981 as the National Computer Board, a government agency. And then over time, in 96, became privatized. In the last couple of years, we've been busy transforming ourselves because whether it's as a result of COVID or otherwise, digital transformation is on the rise. There's just so much demand for digital transformation. Every industry, every government, every sector. And one of the key things around NCS is that a couple of years ago, we rethought about our purpose because it was important for us to think and be very clear and very aligned as to what our purpose would be. And the leadership team came together to basically develop this purpose for ourselves, which is that our role in NCS is to advance communities by harnessing technology and partnering governments and enterprises. And we felt that it's not, while we are a technology company, it's not about technology. It's about how technology can advance communities, can make things better. Yes, some of it will be about helping governments be more efficient. Some of it will be about helping companies be more competitive. But ultimately, it's all about creating better ways of work, better ways of living, better communities, better lives. And we believe truly that that's our purpose in this whole scheme of things, to make use of technology to help advance the positives behind the communities that we live in. So behind that purpose, it became very clear that sustainability was a key part of the strategy, because I think the world of sustainability has very nicely moved away from small groups talking about it to now a lot of stakeholders discussing it. And I believe we're at the cusp of moving to doing something significant about it. So we see ourselves not looking at sustainability purely from hey, look, that's something that our stakeholders are demanding of us, but more importantly, that aligns to our overall corporate purpose.
Yeah, and clearly you hear in the media and other places lots and lots of organizations talking about the importance of change from a focus on sustainability. So within NCS, how are you focusing and how are you kind of operationalizing your sort of strategy against sustainability?
For us, we look at the sustainability across perhaps three areas or three pillars. Pillar number one is what we call hygiene, because it was important for us as an organization to do our part in setting the examples of the right things to do.
Right.
So the internal hygiene would be as simple as making sure our reporting, meeting of regulatory requirements, but at the same time, making sure that we implement the right sort of measures internally. So for example, at one of our facilities in Bedok, we are very proud that we are one of the largest single roof solar panel implementations.
Oh, wow.
We were one of the first to use a new range of solar powered air conditioners.
Right.
So little things that we do here and there, because we feel that it's important for us to be able to do it ourselves internally.
Yes.
Because just last week we were at a meeting, and one of the partners shared that this concept of being an exemplar as well as an enabler. Because if you are not setting an example internally, it's very hard to go out there to help the clients with their transformation. So that's pillar one, about hygiene, about making sure that we do what's right within the NCS organization. The second pillar, it's around the ability to help our clients with their transformation in a sustainable way. So in an odd way, you can call it a BAU type of sustainable solutions, because like all of us, we are expected to be able to understand on the most basics our carbon footprint, to be able to articulate what are the actions we're taking in order to develop in a sustainable way. So in many of the clients that we work with, they are also asking from us, as you implement our digital transformation, help us understand how that shapes and improves our sustainability agenda as well. And then the third item is around the sustainability innovations. We're at the stage where sustainable solutions and innovations are still a tremendous area of opportunity, because we've not reached maturity by any means in this industry. So while yes, there are reporting solutions out there, yes, there are smart building solutions and IoT sensors out there, but there's so many other ways that we can potentially use technology to advance the agenda of sustainability. So it's important for us to also spend time separately with our clients and with our technology partners to think about ways that we can push the innovation agenda in sustainability. So very broadly, we kind of see it simplistically as hygiene, things that NCS needs to do so that we can be a good example, things that we are able to offer to our clients, and things that we can innovate into the industry. So those are the three pillars that we kind of think of.
Fantastic. Yeah. Excellent. So NCS historically has been a system integrator. I think we know that. So you guys have always helped businesses and help them understand how to put complex technologies together and make them work together. What is the role that NCS sees technology playing in this kind of sustainable future?
Well, let me first again take two steps back and reflect on the changes in the industry.
Okay.
We kind of semi-joke that there's only a few truths in our tech industry. That truth number one is that anything that is default offline will become default online. Everything is getting hyper-connected. So The second truth is that there's only two speeds in our tech industry, and that's fast and faster. There's only two speeds. And the third truth is that information will be disseminated and federated, and the true value comes from being able to connect the dots. So if you look behind it and you compare back, when I first started in IBM, the connectivity was largely within the glass houses. Computing powers was within the IT departments. The data was perhaps in the hands of a few. But if you fast forward to today, all of us, I think Singapore's data is that on average we have about 1.5 handphones per person. I don't know how that comes about, but there's a lot of connected devices in Singapore and many other countries. So we're all connected. We have information at our fingertips. Then the true value, it's around how do you make use of the connectivity? How do you make sense of the fast-changing environments and the increasing complexity, and yet be able to connect the dots to be able to bring value? So in an odd way, the system integration role has changed because we have to be agile. We have to be able to pull together the complexities of the different technology sets and yet be able to deliver the value that the clients are looking at. So when we look at digital transformation, we do not stop at here's 6 different software packages that you can put together. We try very hard to think together with the client, what is the impact, the business results, or the community impact, or the sustainability impact that this is supposed to drive. So in a way, we think that role does keep us on our feet. Because we do need to keep a constant scan as to all the technologies that's happening and that's changing out there. And part of it is, I think, the challenge of not just understanding the shifting landscape, but finding creative ways to connect the dots to bring value.
Yes, the idea of creativity to bring value is a really interesting thought, I think. Also what you were saying about advancing communities. So clearly, from an organizational perspective, that's a very people kind of focused vision. So when we're thinking, I guess, a bit more about people and the message of the importance of sustainability, how are you finding the various people that you deal with, I guess the various stakeholders, how are you finding them taking up the cause or taking up the thinking on the need for sustainability?
I think the positive thing is that the whole sustainability agenda has pretty much most governments and most organizations talking about it. If you clock back 5 years, 10 years before, you perhaps will have small pockets talking about it. I think the urgency, the sense of importance has caught up because governments are thinking about regulations, about reporting needs. There are reports that says that the talents in the market would evaluate the companies to join based on sustainability agendas. There are clients that have indicated that if you want to qualify for my RFP, there are certain sustainability standards. So I think it's really wonderful that now the different stakeholders are coming together to be able to say, hey, look, let's try and move this agenda together. So what's positive is that we're starting to see pockets of action behind it. I think the challenge for us collectively is how do we accelerate the speed of action?
Right.
Because if we leave it to the current speed, there's some arguments that perhaps it's maybe a bit too little, too late, too slow. And in terms of change management, I would say that in our industry, or across all industries, admittedly, I would think that it's perhaps a bit like a usual bell-shaped curve. That on one end, your folks who say, hey, look, this is critical, I believe in it, we're putting real action, putting real investments behind it, I'm walking the talk. So that could be it. There could be the fat middle that is a little bit like perhaps a little bit like my New Year resolution to lose weight. I talk about it at the beginning of every year. I do a little bit, and then after 2 months, I kind of lapse back to my BAU. That sustained determination may not be there. And there's probably still a small group within the various industries that is asking the question, do I need to get on it? So I think the challenge perhaps is not for the first group, because these are the groups that are driven and they are putting resource, but is to help this group understand what it takes to be on a sustained regime of weight loss or sustainability, so that it's not just an aspiration, but it's an aspiration that can be executed, aspiration that can be implemented, whether in baby steps or otherwise, towards the larger goal.
And around on that topic itself, what are the kinds of approaches that you find are working to try and push that mass of people towards that other end where they're actually taking sustained activities and actions towards sustainability? Is there anything that's working? Do you find there anything that's particularly...
I think maybe if I speak broadly,
Sure.
what's I think working in the industry is that the overall awareness is high.
Yes, fair enough.
So now if you ask any CEO, they probably can talk to you broadly about scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 and the definition and why is it important. So the awareness part is I think gaining momentum. The part that is perhaps needing a bit of help is translating the aspirations into actual execution. So while I think many companies are comfortable with doing things like reporting, because I have a method of madness to get reporting on my carbon footprint, then the question is, what are the next set of baby steps that is required? The reason why I indicate baby steps is because with this evolving landscape, it's probably unimaginable that any company would have a end-to-end solution in place.
Yes.
That between now and my 2050 net zero commitment, I have exactly everything planned up.
Yes.
Not possible.
Yeah.
Things will change, shapes will shift, tides will come and go, and technology ebb and flows will
Yes.
continue. But it is about then putting the effort behind small steps. So, for example, the one example that one of our clients did was basically around fleet management, using technology to understand tire pressure, because tire pressure gives data in terms of your usage of a vehicle, and based on the usage of vehicle, you can then schedule for maintenance, schedule routes, because you have now IoT visibility. And to be able to minimize the route, it's not just great for the drivers, but it's immediate carbon footprint reductions. If you're able to have an algorithm that reduces the amount of circling time a plane is in the air, it's not just about having happier passengers. It is fuel consumption. So all these are very small things that allows us to start taking baby steps towards saying, hey, look, that perhaps is something I can do a little bit more of in order to take the collective action.
So Howie, tell us a little bit about, or give us an example or two about, some of these projects that you guys are working on with your clients in terms of how you're rolling out sustainability solutions.
Well, maybe I'll talk on two areas. I think one area that is quite common is the implementation of using technology in smart buildings.
Okay.
Because whether you're using it in existing buildings or you're using it in green buildings, we call it brownfield versus greenfield. Technology is now increasingly being infused such that to get your green mark and all that, it's not just about the way you set up a solar panel, but how you use IoT sensors, how you use dashboards, how you use monitors to allow you to remotely and automatically control air conditioning usage as the most basic, on security, on things like allocation resources. So for one of the clients, IoT sensors and smart cameras were put in place such that you would know if for particular parts of the building you need to assign more people. So this is a visitation center, so there may be times where you need to send more baggage handlers.
Right.
There may be times where you need to send more cleaners because the toilets are being used more frequently. So this allows more optimal allocation of resources. This allows better control of your electrical usages and as well as your other facilities. So smart buildings is quite common. Most companies, as they're looking to revamp or build a new setup, would think and plan sensors, would plan cameras, would plan automation systems to reduce
Consumption.
not just the energy footprint, but broadly the resource utilization. So that's one area. The second area, probably a little bit more on the innovation side, I would say, is increasing use of AI. I think all the rage right now is on generative AI ever since ChatGPT came on and Bard came on. But increasingly, we're seeing case studies where in pilots and experimentations where the clients are using, we're working with the clients to use AI to do better predictive resource allocations and predictive requirements of what that next step might be. Sometimes we call it NBA, next best action.
Okay.
Sometimes it is used to do trigger alerts because as a result of ingesting the insights and the data, you are better able to use the AI to say, hey, look, there is a problem here, allocate some attention to it. So this whole area of AI and the growth of it is now creating a lot more possibilities as well. So this is just examples. We have examples using blockchain to identify and to be able to monitor a supply chain. And the use of technology, I think, has potential. And we're excited there are clients who are eager to look at ways of using it.
Yeah. That was to the point that you made earlier. There's so much opportunity for innovative thinking in the sustainability space, almost across all industries, I would imagine.
Across all industries. And I think all of us in the tech industry do have a responsibility because it is a common narrative and refrain in the market that tech contributes to
Fair enough.
the carbon footprint, whether it's data centers, whether it's blockchain or otherwise. But the converse is actually more powerful. That technology allows us to actually think about using tech in ways that reduces the carbon footprint, as simple as optimizing supply chains or optimizing routes, optimizing resource allocations and resource uses. These are just very simple examples of how tech can help with the whole agenda.
And you must be in a situation with NCS where, like you said, there's almost kind of no beginning and no end. So you will be working with some clients who are further advanced, that perhaps there are things to learn from, and some clients who perhaps are a bit further behind, who you can help get started on the process.
Absolutely. I think we do have an innovation center where we showcase examples of clients who are more forward-leaning and partly is to use this as an opportunity to showcase what is possible. And the reason of showcasing is so that we can potentially co-create with some of the new clients and technology partners. On the technology side, as with any system integrator, we work with about 100, 200 technology providers, from the big boys like the Microsofts to the AWSs to the Googles to the startups. And collectively, it's safe to say everyone has it on the agenda.
Yes.
But the solution sets may be slightly different. So we try and find opportunities with our technology partners to innovate across the lines as well, across the spaces, because there may be a really exciting solution from a startup that requires a good data company, that may require a really good security company, that may require a very good client that is willing to try it out. And those are the dots we try and connect.
And you were mentioning earlier also within this kind of realm that it's no longer BAU. You had a fantastic other way of describing it? CAU. And what does that mean again?
Chaos as usual.
Chaos as usual. So do you want to just touch on that a little bit? Because I think it's a really good thought, actually.
I think that came about because internally we do recognize that it's not just our world of technology that is constantly changing, but you look across the geopolitical realm, it is shifting. You look across societal norms, it is shifting. You look across many different lenses, things are shifting. Perhaps things have never had a standstill. It's just that because we're now a lot more connected as a society, as as a global society, that the awareness that all these changes are happening and accelerated,
Hitting you in the face.
perhaps it's just getting us a lot more aware that there is always something shifting. So it is internally something we say, hey, look, that BAU has become CAU because it is chaos as usual. And for us, it's not to sit and weep and worry about the chaos, but to find ways to continue to thrive and to grow despite the chaos.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's where the opportunity exists actually. Amidst the chaos, that's where the opportunity really comes out.
Yeah, and it's perhaps just a mindset to say that,
Yeah.
look, don't worry about all this. It happens. Let's move on and make things happen.
Yeah, so rather than kind of focusing on what's happening today, looking forward and trying to navigate towards that. It's a really interesting territory that you're in, particularly in this space of sustainability. One of the things as we sort of come to the end of our chat with you that we always ask our guests, this territory of change and particularly perhaps in this area of sustainability, is there one kind of key thought that you want to leave our listeners with as we kind of come to the close of the chat?
Well, as we've all changed, all change is always about people, and it is the people that makes a difference. And I think we're in a fortunate phase where there is no disagreement across all the different stakeholders, whether you talk about governments, corporates, educators, communities. There is a consistent agreement that this agenda is important. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity to align all these collective agreements into actions, and the actions will probably be into a couple of pockets. Those who can lead should lead, those who can innovate should innovate, and those of us who are not in a space of leading or innovating should just do our part in taking little steps forward. Not all things will work, but at least if talk becomes more action,
Yes.
we do stand a good chance.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think in closing out from my perspective, I do like this idea of chaos as usual. It's a really good way because you can get very trapped in kind of this thought of business as usual. But if you're thinking about chaos as usual, you're in a much more agile and change focused mindset, which I think that's one of the core thoughts that I'll take from our chat today.
Cool.
Thank you.
And I think for me, really, it's the innovation that comes out of that chaos, right?
Right.
It provides you either an opportunity to sit back, as Howie said, and kind of drone on about it and complain about it, or pick up the sticks and say, let's charge ahead and find some opportunity here and strive forward with that as well. I think that's really a key takeaway for me because I see change always as an opportunity, and that's really a good one for me.
It's quite a good way to think about finishing is change an opportunity or kind of is it a problem?
We definitely see it as an opportunity.
Yeah,
I
we
think.
do. It sounds
we're all
like
on
you
the
No,
do too.
same.
Yeah.
That's why we wake up every day trying to figure out what else can we change.
Fair enough. Howie, it's been a brilliant conversation.
Thank you so much.
So much insight on such an important area. We really appreciate your time. Thank you.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you, Howie.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the end of this episode of Transformasians. Do join us again soon for the next episode. And it just leaves Charan to say,
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.